If you think your goal is to get your marriage and wife back, you gotta think again. You'll never have the same marriage that you had back. The real goal is this, to transform your marriage into a new version of itself that improves upon the original. Or your marriage as you knew it is over. But that's a good thing because now you can give the same marriage a new life. I want you to expand a little bit on like where you guys are now. You mentioned neutral. You guys still at neutral? Like where are you guys currently
Oh
at?
God, no. We're in a different relationship. I have a different wife. She has a different husband.
In this video, I'm going to share 4 principles that Chris used to not only win his wife back, but to take his marriage to a better place than it was before. The first one is controversial. It involves a selfish act that Chris committed, which actually stopped divorce in its tracks.
Nope, that's mine too. She could not have. I would not give her even one single thing. It was all me.
It was the basis of giving their marriage a new identity. So let's jump in. Before Chris made his marriage new and improved, he was already unrecognizable, but not in a good way.
I was still terrified. She was not like serving me papers or whatever. She was asking for space. I was in a bad place. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't understand anything that was going on. I was completely lost.
It's a horrible feeling to be hurting and lost, with no idea where to go. That's where most men stay, unless they come across solid advice, which had to come by with the sea of information that exists today.
So I had some of your like YouTube stuff playing, and I was like, man, this is resonating with me. And so I signed up for like the consultation thing. I had to believe in something at that point. I had nothing else to believe in because I didn't really see anything shifting as far as everything we were doing at that point.
Chris actually mentions the first step that comes before any habit you can learn. He had to believe in something. And I can't underestimate how important this one is. Whether you hit rock bottom or not, you need to believe that change is possible. Without that, there is no possibility. A belief that you can win her back and save your marriage. Because that's where it all starts. That seed of hope is going to grow into the potential of saving and transforming your marriage, okay? And that is the one thing that I cannot give you personally. You have to turn inward and toward a higher power to find that hope and belief. But I will share this. When Chris joined the program and started diving into the coursework, he got immediate confirmation that he was on the right path.
Like literally, like every single thing you said was going to happened. Everything.
Look, I built this whole entire coursework in this program and I iterated it over the past decade as a licensed therapist. So it really includes this first principle that Chris applied. And when you do this with 100% of your being, it will eradicate resentment and build trust between the both of you. And that trust, it'll pave the way towards intimacy to have that blossom forward. And I would honestly argue somehow Chris found a way to do it with like 120% of his being. So much so that it came across as a selfish act. But it's like a good kind of selfish. Because when you get selfish with this one, you're actually giving something back to your wife, as counterintuitive as it may seem. Something she's been waiting for you to give her for a very long time. Let's hear it from Chris himself.
I think I did a significant amount of damage in my flailing efforts to understand what was going on prior to that point. And that's the only way to describe it. I was just flailing. And then the only answer was look in the mirror, dude. Like, it's not her, buddy.
As you may have guessed, he's talking about one of my favorite habits that we teach here, which is the idea of radical responsibility or extreme ownership. This one absolutely floored me. I thought I knew this concept, but the student became the master, so to speak. He took what I learned and just added jet fuel to the idea. He even made me question how much responsibility I'm taking in my own relationship.
There was one point you talked about like them apologizing. Like I owned so much. I've basically ripped things away from her that she tried to own in the beginning. Like, nope, that's mine. Like, I would twist things to where it was still my fault. Nope, that's mine too. She could not have. I would not give her even one single thing. It was all me, and extreme ownership to the like extreme degree. I just wouldn't let her have any of it.
I mean, wow. Even when his wife took ownership, he said, nope, that was mine. Do you know why this is so important? Because it allows her to fulfill that most important need, emotional safety. It says to her heart and soul, I'm going to take care of you and guard you and protect you like never before. I will never let any harm come to you. She feels emotionally held by your armor of love and light, okay? Even in their therapy sessions, he would step up and take ownership of everything.
So she was kind of like saying, well, I should have said things, I should have spoken up, kind of like that type of stuff. And I didn't let her have it then either. I said, nope, like I did not create a safe environment for you. I did not, support you and show you that you could be, tell me these things and without fear of, my response.
Now, before I get into the second principle, I want to dig deeper here on this topic. Chris describes a powerful metaphor about extreme ownership and what gets in the way of a lot of men taking this step properly.
It was like a thorn in your side, and like instead of just pulling the thorn out, like you build these like complex mechanisms to prevent it from being touched. And so that was me. I had very complex machinery to protect my ego and prevent people from getting to me, and all of this defensive behavior and victim mentality. And I just yeeted every single bit of it. It is gone. And if I catch myself doing it, I correct as fast as I can.
Look, you are so smart. You can rationalize anything to avoid doing the work on yourself, right? I mean, whole entire religions and philosophies are built upon a man's ability to avoid parts of himself that he doesn't want to look at. Ultimately, you will construct a reality, a paradigm of the world in which you don't want to look at aspects of yourself that you have to change, because that's equated to the fear of death, which is the ultimate fear guiding all of our behavior, according to existentialists. I'm not going to go too much on a philosophical rant, but just you have a deep ability to rationalize and construct a worldview to avoid changing who you are. Know this. And then use that concept or idea to look at those parts of yourself that you don't want to. And by the way, she's been pointing those out for years, so it's not hard to find them.
Speaking to that extreme ownership, I like to kind of spell out why that's so important and why doing that, like, because when you take ownership of the things that you've done, it's almost like this victim in her, and it's a subconscious process for her, right? She just feels that when the guy doesn't have integrity or doesn't take ownership for his behavior, it almost teaches her that like down the road, if something bad happens, you're gonna run away and you're gonna, oh, this isn't about me. You're gonna like literally leave the screen, right? Like that's what she feels. A lot of guys, I think, and you can speak to this a little bit, where they get caught up in this is like, but she has a part in this. If I take ownership of all of it, that's just not true. That is not truth. And a lot of guys want to hold to that like logical truth. But I will just say here, when it comes to the matters of the heart, it's a perspective. It's not an objective truth.
And while Chris got selfish with extreme ownership, the next principle is about doing actually the opposite. And when you apply this, it not only improves communication with your wife, it also enhances emotional connection. It was also Chris's biggest win through the entire program, which, by the way, you can learn more about that program and how to save your marriage by clicking the link down below to set up a call with one of our marriage evaluators. All right, so I'll shut up and let Chris talk, and that's a hint, by the way.
The biggest win for me is that I'm sorry, I get a little mad, but like I actually learned like how to shut the fuck up and listen to her. And like I stopped trying to just fix everything because, that's where you want to go. But instead just like trying to actually listen to what she's saying and like get it as far as what it means to be there. Like I just never knew. Like I never had any idea like what it meant to be there for someone or be there for her. And like I get it. Like it's basically shut up and listen to her and be there. Like listen to what she's saying. Stop the 6 million things going on in your mind.
Yeah. Well,
don't let the train that tries to fix it leave the station. Just power that down and listen to her.
It's hard to really connect everything together on the top of my head, but it's like almost like they call it a container in a lot of coaching spaces. Like you create a container, and it's like in that container, you're just there with her, allowing her to be herself. It's a mode of being, not doing. And as like most guys, successful guys like yourself, it's like doing. And so when you see a problem, aka she's upset, that's a problem in your mind. Your brain says, let's do something about this. And so what you're speaking
Yep.
to, that listening to her, that you're speaking to, is that like container of just being there with her. And the
Yeah.
process of you just holding that space in your masculine presence, and that allows for that extra safety for her to have in that container.
Yeah.
The principle here is what I call empathetic holding. The other day on a group call, I also gave a man a powerful metaphor that my better half told me. She said that I'm this like magnetic pull to her in her raging emotional storms, right? Which basically means that when she's in her, I call them emotional storms because she's just in this storm of emotion. There's no other way to put it. And it's like she can't come back to me. She's disconnected from me. She's ranting, she's venting, she's raving. And she says that because I'm able to remain calm and just be that presence for her and not be affected, it's like I'm this magnetic pull that takes her out of the storm and brings her back to safety. And that's what in the masculine you can provide by using this skill. It helps her get out of her head and into her body and feeling safe and open to you. And that's what this empathetic listening and validating actually does, the power of it, when you know how to create that container in a proper way, to not be reactive to her emotions, even when especially when they're directed at you. In the Pixar movie Inside Out, young Riley experiences emotional turmoil after moving to a new city. Near the end of the movie, Riley runs away but is found by her parents. Instead of trying to immediately solve her problems, her parents sit with her and listen empathetically as she expresses her feelings. Her parents are a prime example in that clip of creating that emotional attunement, that little container for her to express herself without them trying to solve or change who she is. The moment of empathetic holding allows Riley to feel understood and supported. It allows her emotions to run its course. And it's your natural reaction as a man to try to fix your wife's problems because you want her to be happy and stop the discomfort of that moment. But you must learn instead to refrain from your natural logical instincts in that moment. And instead, learn to be quiet. Okay, just use those two ears, listen and validate, and hold that space. Allow her to vent. Okay, and not try to feel like you have to change how she feels. And that acceptance, that unconditional acceptance of who she is in that moment, brings her back to you again. Now, the next principle fosters respect and builds emotional safety even further, which will then lead to that attraction and physical intimacy that you're seeking. I call it anchored leadership. Now, Chris's wife got close to a female friend of hers who had a lot of influence on their marriage. And a lot of guys do face that.
And I said, okay, like, look, I'm not going to tell you how to handle your relationship, because they are kind of friends. So it's a weird kind of blurry line. And said, just know that, whatever component of it is like would constitute or be an emotional type affair, like needs to stop. And I'm fine with having friends and I'm not going to dictate the way you proceed. And she did it on her own. Basically, she's almost cut the person out of her life. Like,
Oh, wow.
and I mean, I didn't tell her what to do. I just said, look,
Well, the fact that you didn't, Chris, is why she probably did, is because if you pressured her and try to control her and manipulate her,
right.
she does the opposite effect, right? And
Yeah.
and so
But that person became kind of a pursuer. It's so backwards. And then she was repulsed by that,
What Chris did here to work through that issue is that he practiced anchored leadership. What he did was he set a clear boundary and then upheld it, but he was not controlling about it. There was a healthy middle ground between setting the boundary and controlling her, okay? He's like, look, you're fine to have friends, but whatever part of this that constitutes an emotional affair has got to stop. He said, I am not comfortable with this. He was open and honest and wasn't afraid to speak his honest thoughts, okay? To not hold back who he was just to keep the peace. He stuck to himself and then left it alone. And that is the proper way to set a boundary. It's like, I'm here and this is what I expect. It's not grabbing onto her, it's not pushing her away, right? It's this grounded, silent power. Now you carry this masculine confidence and energy within you. And when you unlock it, it unlocks her feminine energy, which then attracts her to you again. That's how the whole process works. And look what happened. She pulled back from the female friend on her own, which caused that girl to become a pursuer. All because Chris was a rock who anchored in his own frame. Speaking of which, Chris held his frame physically too. Just listen to how this concept of anchored leadership boosted their physical connection as well.
I have bad back, I have bad knees. Like my exercise is kind of always, I've made excuses for myself for years. I started doing yoga again. I go to yoga at night, which clears my head and I'm getting stronger. And she, the other day, like, I have no idea. This is this weekend. And like, this was like, it was perfect. I knew we were going to meet. And like, this was the crown. This was the cherry on top. Like, she's been very, she's been much more affectionate with me. Like, she knows I'm a physical touch person, but like, she kind of ran towards me. Like, they were about to leave. She kind of ran towards me, and she's pretty fit and not, doesn't weigh, anything over 130. She's jumped on me. And I just like, because I think 6 months ago I would have probably not knocked over, but with my lower body strength and like everything, I just caught her. I didn't move, and I like held her up, and she's just like, I said, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Seeing how strong you are." And I said, "How'd I do?" And she said, "Good." But um, yeah, and you know, it's becoming, and I catch myself if I try and keep myself as even keel and stoic. I'm loving, but I don't want to be. I want to be the rock of the family, and so that's kind of what I strive for.
Now, Chris mentions he strives to be the rock of the family. Applying this last principle gives you the strength and means to be that rock. You want to talk about benefits? This one boosts your confidence, self-esteem, and your presence around her. It reduces stress, enhances your emotional resilience, and not to mention, it makes you just happier and physically healthier. I always love to save the best point for last for you guys who want to stay through the whole video. I simply call these things just self-care mechanisms, or SCMs. I'll let Chris describe it.
I was leaving there all alone, minding my P's and Q's, being helpful, and working on between my ears a lot. I started listening to a bunch of audiobooks December, January, where I was waking up super early, like doing exercise, and then like I have a sauna at my house, like sitting in a sauna and listening to books and like thinking and praying some, but a lot of just mental work on myself and trying to understand things about myself that I had never really.
He prioritized working on himself physically and mentally. Look, I'm gonna make this extremely logical for you. At the end of the day, how you feel around her influences how she feels around you. So when you take care of yourself, you feel better in your body, and then that feeling translates over to her. Even Harvard did a study on audit development. It was long-term research that's shown that staying physically active and having a purpose in life, as well as maintaining strong relationships, they significantly contribute to overall health and longevity. And honestly, here's the takeaway that Chris came to realize. It's a mentality that you must adapt to be confident and okay with yourself. Now, this is a powerful clip from Chris that I want you to really just take in and replay and watch again.
There's a whole lot of toxicity that was in our relationship that had to do with codependence and stuff. And, square one for me was kind of, I think, where the whole thing started, which is you need to take care of yourself. And, I didn't do that at all. I hadn't done that. I mean, and I'm talking in any capacity, and really thinking about what that meant and making that a part of, of daily life with 3 kids and a wife and a job, and, how to, for a little while there, last couple of months, I would get kind of down on myself because I wasn't doing the same thing I was doing. And then I realized, like, I'm not responsible. I'm responsible for me. So whatever works for me is good. Like, I think I was fearful, like, oh, she's going to see that I'm not doing exactly what I was doing before. So getting rid of that fear was a part of it. But, the ultimate thing that really is different is that I do stuff for me, and I'm happy to have people around me that are, add to my life, but I can take care of myself, and I can stand on my own 2 feet emotionally.
Now, to see another Now, to see another guy who saved his marriage and turned it around using extreme ownership and a bunch of other techniques that I didn't mention on this video, I would suggest that you just click on that video right there and watch it. Or if you want to finally take a different action towards saving your marriage, to get on a call with the marriage evaluators, to get that blueprinted outline of how to save your marriage, to make it better than it ever was before, like Chris, click the link down below. I'll see you all next time. Have a good day or a night.